Nigeria's contingent that includes taekwondo, table tennis, gymnastics, canoeing, rowing and wrestling join other athletes from around the world who were ushered into the Olympic Games as it approaches.
You can see our captain Aruno. Yeah.
With strict COVID-19 protocols put in place by the organizers, every athlete who enters the Games village will stay in the bubble until the conclusion of the Games. In less than 1 week, it will be showtime for the athletes who will be competing in various events.
This is amazing. We're Team Niger, and I'm looking across and I see Team China, I see Puerto Rico. What? Every country is here, and that's just beautiful.
And for some of the country's athletes in events like taekwondo, gymnastics, badminton, amongst others, this will be their first at the world's biggest multi-sports event. However, ex-Olympians who have competed on the same stage have some soothing words for the athletes.
The Olympic tournament comes with a lot of Olympic spirit, The Olympics was created for humans to compete, come together and bond. So I wish them best of luck. And Nigerians will be hoping that we come back with some medals, So expectation is very high. But the spirit of the Olympics is to compete.
As an athlete in the Olympic Games, I'll be able to see and experience the joy of victory and the agony of defeat. And at the end of it all, either you win or you lose, you are all champions, because you are the very best the world can offer.
When we were competing in 2003 in Maputo, we were losing in the semifinals and the finals, but we never gave up. And we did it against all odds. And so you really want to put everything you have into your sport and work your hardest and don't give up until it's over. And hopefully I wish everyone all the success and doing well at the Olympics this year.
Nigeria will parade 58 athletes in 9 sporting events during the Tokyo Games, and the team remain confident of their chances this time after a disappointing finish in Rio 2016, where Nigeria clinched a bronze medal in football.
We're just hours away from the official opening ceremony of the Tokyo Olympics. It's been a long time coming. In fact, it's the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in 2021, right? And this is one conversation I wish I had my tracks on and sportswear on, but just imagine I'm wearing that. And this morning, we're taking a deep dive into Nigeria's chances, the build-up to this Olympics. I mean, it's the Olympics, right? How about we have it on Sunrise Daily? And to do that with us, we have joining us from Tokyo via Zoom, Mr. Femi Adetola, PRO, Nigeria Olympic Committee. He joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you for joining us on the program. And here in our Lagos studio, Mr. George Alu, a sports analyst. I mean, you see him on other platforms, but we are commandeering him for Sunrise Daily this morning. It's great to have you on the program.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So let's begin from Tokyo, right? I think that's only fair. Mr. Adetola, how does it feel, really? Some call it pandemolympic, Olympandemic, I mean, tongue twisters and the rest. But this is clearly a different Olympic in a different climate. How does it feel right now?
Well, let me say good afternoon to everybody over there in Nigeria, because we're in afternoon here. It's after 4 p.m. So it's afternoon. The sun is shining and it's a bit hot, you understand? Right. The Olympics as it is, it's still the Olympics, but not the regular Olympics as it is, because this is not coming with the fun that we have whenever we have Olympics across the world. So it's just a strict, very, very, very restricted Olympic Games. But what can we do? We just have to stay by it.
Can you just walk us through how difficult it has been, from the tests to the protocols, the COVID-19 protocols and the rest? From the leaving Nigeria, even before, how has the process been?
Yes, the process started 14 days before leaving Nigeria. You have to, test your temperature 14 days before traveling. Then you have to go to the COVID center to do a test, 96 hours, 72 hours. You have to do that. Then your whereabouts is very important. So you do that, then you proceed to the plane. When we got to to Japan, it was another catch of fish because somebody tested positive on our flight in Mozambique, and so they had us for about 6 hours, doing a lot of tests from one test to the other. At the end of the day, they now say, okay, everybody's going to an hotel for the next 10 days. You understand? So that we're going to be quarantined. But eventually, we were lucky to say, okay, Cote d'Ivoire, you can go. Nigeria, you can go. Kenya, you can go. But these other countries, we are going to delay you, to see and who, that tested positive. That was after about 6 hours that we have been waiting. And you see them, they are very, very strict. They don't joke with it because they have seen what it means, that the COVID-19 is very real and is something. Even to this morning, we are still doing tests. If you come into Tokyo, the first 4 days, you can't go out, you go nowhere. And every day you are doing tests. You have to do your body temperature, you have to do your OCHA, you have to do your cocoa. So it's test and test and test. They want everybody to come into Japan clean and you leave Japan clean. So that is how it has been over here.
Oh, well, clearly that's a lot of protocols. But let me bring this back to Lagos studio. Well, hearing Mr. Adetola, the protocols they had to follow, and I'm sure at some point they were thinking, hope the worst does not happen. How important is it really to host the Olympics? I mean, against all odds, the Olympics is holding. How important is this sporting event?
Very, very important. You know that the Olympics is the world's biggest sports fiesta. And if not for the fact that it is very, very important, I mean, the world would have said, okay, let's forget about it. But don't forget that the Olympics just go beyond what you see out there in the stadium. It's very, very capital intensive. A whole lot of money, billions and billions of dollars going into this. So if the Olympics did not hold, I mean, you are talking about money going down the drain, sponsors losing money, and a whole lot of that. So what IOC considered is, okay, we have to do it under a very safe atmosphere, safety first. That is why they are putting these health protocols in place. But for the Olympics not to have taken place in the first place would have been an outright disaster when you talk about sports and its effect. It's good it is holding under a very safe atmosphere, just like we had Euro 2020. I mean, we saw it just last month, it ended, and at the end of the day, the sponsors were happy. So it has to do with sponsorship deals that have been signed over the years. So you don't just say, okay, because of COVID-19, you won't be hosting the Olympics. It's good that Tokyo has, the thing is taking place. We are going to see the opening ceremony today. And then the sponsors will now be happy that at least their investment, they will get return on investment.
How significantly do you see this pandemic affecting this Pandem Olympics?
Yes, it has already affected it. Come to look at it, this is the first Olympics in modern history where you will not have spectators. Not just the local spectators. At some point in time, they wanted the local fans to be part of the Olympics. But because of the state of emergency, even the local fans cannot be part of the Olympics. The opening ceremony today will be witnessed by less than 1,000 people, these VVIP guests, in a stadium that ordinarily should be seating about 80,000 spectators. So the pandemic has already affected it. But the important thing is that the games is going on at long last.
Okay. Well, Mr. Adetola, how do you see this? Do you see this pandemic affecting the performance of the athletes, in this global fiesta?
No, not at all. There is no how it affect them because if you look at them at the Games Village, they are in thousands, over 11,000 athletes at the village here. And when you go to your test, go for your training, and everybody wants to participate at the Olympics. Like the IOC president said, he said Olympics is for participation. Fine, if you are winning, beautiful. But if you are not winning, better luck next time. So the athletes they are here, they are enjoying themselves. The only thing is that the normal hug, the normal shaking, whatever, that one, no, you don't do that. You don't hug yourself, you don't shake. But they still go together, to do things, do their training, go to the restaurant together, go to the gym together, train together, and what have you. So it won't really affect them. When it comes to competing, they're out there to compete. Please let me quickly correct something. I saw something on air there. I'm sorry. We have 60 athletes here in 10 sports, because athletics, we are 19 now, and we have one lady in swimming. So it means Nigeria is having 60 athletes and 10 participating in 10 sports. You understand? So please, let's quickly correct that, because we are 60 here participating in 10 sports.
Okay, well, talking about the participation, bit that you mentioned, and the fact that the participation seems to carry a little more weight in perspective than winning. If we're going to go by what Mr. Alu has said here, billions of dollars are invested just to participate. I mean, there is also the money that Nigeria has invested in this. And then people are wondering, just how many medals have we even been able to recoup, so to speak, or win over the years, in spite of all of the investments that have been made? So winning will be an issue. Everybody else came to participate. What's wrong with us getting medals as well? What's your take on that?
Well, it's good to get medals, because back home, even when we are playing friendly, even if it's football, even if it's basketball, if anything, whenever we are playing we are playing football and we play draw or lose, you know what it means to us as a nation. But interestingly, the athletes that we have out here, look at them from every of the sports, from table tennis. We have Aruna, we have Omotayo, African champion. Aruna is still at 15 for this Olympics, so it means he won't play in round 1 and 2. We have Funke Oshonaike that is coming for her 7th time, so it means we have an African woman that is representing at the Olympics for the 7th times. In basketball, women and men, you see what they have done. The men are on fire. The women came in last night. They are raring to go. In athletics, this is the time for them to show themselves, because they peaked at the right time. So your athlete picking at the right time, going to the Olympics, it means they are coming to show the world that they are the best. Look at the badminton against all odds at the Olympics. We have African champions, and it has never happened before. So what is happening? Look at wrestling. We have number 2 in the world. We have number 1 in Africa. And gymnastics, interestingly, a young man of 24 years old, doing 6 sports, and I spoke with him yesterday, and the guy told me that, you will see what will happen when the event starts tomorrow. So these guys are coming to town to say, we are ready to go. They are raring to go. And I think coming back to Nigeria in August, whatever shade of medals we'll bring back home. I can assure.
Okay, we're going to hold on to that, but let's come back to Lagos. I mean, we're going to talk about Nigeria's chances. I mean, 60 athletes across 10 sports. But, I mean, if you take a look at even the sports pages on the dailies this morning, they'll tell you Nigeria in search of 4th gold. And this is something we started in the 1950s. I mean, our first attendance was in the 1950s. And, I mean, we've attended every 4 years afterwards. And yes, participation is good, but if you could just retrospect a bit, why has it been so hard? I mean, Nigerians are talented, right?
Exactly.
I mean, just on the streets, you see how much talent you have. Why has it been so hard, just retrospecting really, to get our medals all on?
Well, let me start by saying that my friend Femi Adetula said that this Olympics, that this is one Olympics where you see so many upsets, because the fact that fans are not there will definitely affect a few things. Because the big stars, ordinarily, by the time you enter, if you've been to a typical Olympic game, by the time you enter the stadium, if you are a beginner, you will begin to shiver. But the symbols of this world will just come out there, and you will be swallowed by the situation. But this time, the fans are not there, so you will see so many upsets. It will definitely affect the performance of the athletes. That I want to believe. We'll see it when the games start, eventually. But coming back to Nigeria, the question you asked, since 1964, we've not been winning so much. Yes, we have so much talent. And if you look at it, let's take the basketball team, for instance. If we were to go to the Olympics with home-based basketballers, are we going to be competing? The answer is no. But because we are gone there with NBA stars, will have the best, will giving them the exposure. They are out there in the United States and they are at their best. That is how we can compete. So it has to do with how much you have invested in sports. If you look at the facilities out there in Tokyo, you will marvel. So it is the level of investment that is a reflection of how many medals you win at the Olympics. We have the talent, but back home here, we don't have the facilities. So, but it is only when our talents, those raw talents, now go outside the shores of our country, it reflects even in our football. By the time a Nigerian player leaves the NPFL and goes to Europe, he becomes a superstar overnight. We saw that in Finidi George and all that. But because the facilities are not just here, that is why we are not getting at the highest, we are not competing at the highest level, at the world level. So that is just it.
Well, as disturbing as that sounds, Mr. Alu, there was something you referenced earlier. We'll probably even be able to take it to Mr. Adetula later as well. Over the years, 25 medals in all, top among where, the sports in which we have won these medals are athletics. We've won 13 medals in all,
Yes.
2 gold, in athletics. Football, we've had 1 gold and no other gold in any of the others, listed, on Wikipedia. And I'm just wondering, do you see a chance, a place where we specialize on a particular sport in order to better our chances? Athletics, for instance, we have 13. The next closest in number is boxing, and that's where we won our first medal, at all. But football is listed second because that's where we got gold in 1996. So
And the bronze.
do you see, and the silver and the bronze later on,
Exactly.
do you see a situation where we specialize and say, okay, when it comes to this particular sport, give it to Nigeria?
Ordinarily, if you look at it, football is our number 1 sport. You say, okay, after Brazil, give it to Nigeria. Then you talk about boxing. You mentioned boxing. Then you talk about athletics. These are areas where Nigeria have comparative advantage. But because of sports administration over the years, we keep fluctuating. Today, it is wrestling, just because we have a Daniel Igali that is getting it right for us in wrestling. By the time Igali leaves the scene, we nosedive. There was a certain Ade Ryoku who got it right for us in volleyball. The moment Ade Ryoku left the scene, basketball, volleyball nosedive in this country. So it has to do with the challenge of administration. But Nigeria has got the talents everywhere. Mention it, there's no sports where we cannot compete. It is just that we are not getting it right in terms of administration. If you come to look at it, if not for the fact that the present sports minister, for instance, Sunday Dare, decided to take the bull by the horn by taking Nigeria's preparation to the corporate world with the Adopt the Athlete campaign, maybe by now our athletes would have been looking for how to get money for funding to train ahead of the games. But because some corporate bodies have decided to adopt these athletes, they were able to settle down, prepare very well for the games, and that is why we have the chances of getting medals at these Olympics.
You know what beats me is the fact that sports is lucrative. I mean, a lot of people watch the EPL.
Exactly.
A lot of people watch other sports. People are watching the Olympics. So why has it been hard? I'll take this back to Tokyo, but let me just ask you, why has it been hard to... it's a money maker naturally. So why is it hard to invest as much in it? We see how much we invest in other things. So why is it really hard to invest that much in sports?
It is because government has decided to hold on tenaciously to sports. By the time you take it to the private sector, I just mentioned it now that the present sports minister has tried as much as possible to woo the private sector. Sports is big business. It is capital intensive. It is not something that government will begin to invest their money on. You have to take it to the private sector. And by the time the private sector gets it, they pump money into it and they get return on investment.
But Mr. Alu, it wasn't what system did we all, operate in the 70s and the 80s that gave us the Thunder Baloguns, the Segun Odegbamis, the 1984 squad, and even then I think it was the 1988 squad.
Let me even answer
gold.
that. Chioma Ajunwa,
Yes.
the only Olympic individual gold medalist that we have, If not for IGI, and Shego Degbami wouldn't have gotten it right. It was not government initiative.
I'm talking about the football that you mentioned
even the dream team. Football, yeah, give it to it. They will have got all the talents. But come to look at it, even in Rio, where we got a bronze medal, if we had prepared very well, don't forget that at some point, our players were even ejected from the hotel, and that distracted them a lot. That team was capable of going all the way to win that gold medal if we had prepared very well for that Olympics. So that is where we come in. We need to invest more in sports. The corporate bodies, see, if we win gold medals today, at the end of this Olympics, so many corporate bodies will begin to congratulate these athletes. But the question you ask, what did you invest in? You now begin to do ambush marketing.
But it's a question. I mean, Kawade mentioned it, so let me help you, so to speak. Take this matter to Mr. Adetula. How do we get behind, or rather get ahead of this challenge? You've heard everything that Mr. Alu has said here. And is it a question of funding, a question of administration, or what exactly is the issue? Because it's usually a good start, but sustaining it for generations, that's been a problem.
We've not tried as much as possible to prioritize sports in Nigeria, because sports, like Alu said, sports is a big business. You don't have to pay lip service to sports. Talking about sport development, you have to put a lot of things into it. You start from the grassroots, and before you start from the grassroots, there must be infrastructure. Do we have infrastructure in Nigeria? Not just that you build a stadium. When you build your stadium, there must be equipment, for the athletes. You understand? So there are a lot of things you need to put in place for these athletes, to perform. It's more than saying we are going to the Olympics and you have to prepare athletes 1 or 2 weeks to the Olympics. No, Olympics takes 8 years for an athlete to prepare. If an Olympian, say it takes an Olympian 8 years to perform, but back home, that is not what we practice. You understand? Thank God we count for 90 days for this Olympics, but it's an 8-year thing. By August 8th, it means the next Olympics is in France. You understand? So the preparation starts that day, that August 8th. But here, what we do is, like we used to say, we just rush into things. But we need to adequate planning.
But Mr. Adetula, why is that the situation? Yes. Just as you said, we always know that it's a 4-year program. It is coming. It's going to happen. So what is it that keeps us from doing the needful ahead of time?
It's a let me say it's a Nigerian thing, because I think we so much believe in this fire brigade approach of doing things. I don't know why the government has not released sport, because we still see sport as a recreation. Sport is not recreation. Sport is big business. You understand? The attention you are paying to aviation, the attention you are paying to education, the attention you are paying to other sector is what you should pay, to sports. And when you pay big attention to sports, then it means, it's just for example, the National Stadium in Surulere, fix it up, let there be light. You see, people will go there in the morning. You understand? When they go there in the morning, they won't leave there until 12 in the afternoon. The young minds, they won't leave there until afternoon. It means they will train from around 6:30 to around 7, around 12 in the afternoon. Then from there, they go back home. By around 3 or 4:30, they are coming back, because they know there is light there. They will train, there is light. You understand? And after training, they know there is something for them to eat. Then it means that takes them away from the street, because naturally, if there is light somewhere, electricity somewhere, it means they're able to charge their phone, they're able to sit down, they're able to discuss, they're able to watch television, they're able to do a lot of things. So when we build the system, it's the system we have to build. The organizational structure is not there. Until we put together the organizational structure, there's nothing we can do and talk about and call sports. That is just it.
And you sounded quite hopeful, really, when you were speaking about our chances in this Olympics. tell us, what did we at least get right in the build-up to this Olympics? For us to, or like, at least for you to be hopeful such that you think we'll win golds, what did we get right?
We have to give it to the sports minister and the Nigerian Olympic Committee, for trying to, see what they can do this time around. Because I think for a very long time, we've not seen the athletes being in camp for 90 days. They were in camp for 90 days, and after the 90 days in Nigeria, they brought them over to Japan in Kizarazu, for another 2 weeks. So looking at this, over 100 days. But aside that, the athletes outside Nigeria, they were preparing, and like Alo mentioned there, this issue of adopt an athlete that the honorable minister, brought on board. I think it worked for them. Then getting their grant from them from IOC and ANOCA, it works for them as well. Because over time, if these athletes, if you prepare them very well, you will see them, they will deliver. Naturally, Nigeria is blessed. I must confess, naturally we are blessed. But it's the man management that is the problem. But if we can put all this aside and say, okay, let's train these athletes the way they should be trained, the result, we will see the result.
I wonder what kind of conversation is ongoing regarding that, because for as long as I can remember, we've had this same conversation. Oh my goodness, fire brigade approach, we're just preparing 30 days, and it seems as though we go to sleep. And then the next 4 years, we're like, oh goodness, fire brigade approach. So what kind of conversation are we having at different levels? Maybe in terms of legislation, policies, and the rest, such that in the next 4 years, we'll not be having the same kind of conversation.
Well, I think what we should do is that like you said, there should be a policy. There is no sports policy in Nigeria. Then that policy should be legislated, because if there is no legislation, there is no how we can do it. Sports needs to be opened up, because if you don't open it up, there is no how you can exert. Look at the league. Sometimes in Nigeria, I work with. African, the largest. Oh, sorry to say this, the largest. This thing in Africa. You understand? I'm on here. Understand? So what I'm saying is, all these things we have to put together. You understand? So that we can promote sport and take it to the next level. It's not lip service. Look at the National Stadium in Nigeria, in Lagos. Look at the National Stadium in Abuja. Look at stadia everywhere across Nigeria. Are they really what we should have? No. So this sports policy, there must be sports policy, then a legislation that says, okay, sports is a big business, not recreation.
So that's a major point you raised there, and it's okay. Hearing that noise, that's what they mean by the camp is bubbling, I guess. If you could give us figures, really, about what to expect as we, start winding down regarding medals now. 60 athletes across 10 sports. What is the list? I'm putting you on the spot on purpose. What is the least Nigerians should expect in terms of gold, silver, and bronze?
Fine. Yourself, you say you are putting me this is just too hot for me now. But I know no matter the color of the medal, let me take wrestling. I know wrestling. The wrestling number one. Yeah. So wrestling, basketball, I can assure you that table tennis and athletics, there is no how we have Odwan Adekore in wrestling. We have Aaron Akwadri in table tennis. The two basketball team, men and women, are very hot. Then the athletics, we have Okagbare, we have what's his name now? Eze Bruman, and a lot of them are there. You understand? Even why not? Even this morning here in Tokyo, our young girl went on the waters, and she came fifth in her event. So tomorrow morning, we are looking forward to seeing her, qualifying for the quarterfinals. So no matter shade of the medals, Nigeria will win and bring back home.
Well, please remain on that spot, because I mean, since Kade has put you in that red spot, so I'm going to keep you there for a little while longer. I noticed you didn't mention boxing, which was the first sport wherein we won a medal.
Boxing, we didn't qualify for boxing.
Is it because of that same Nigerian, fire brigade thing that we didn't qualify?
No. The issue of COVID-19 really affected a lot of preparation, because when we were supposed to travel for the boxing thing, we couldn't travel because of the measures, the COVID-19 measures that were put in place. Even judo, we were supposed to qualify for judo. But boxing, most Olympics, boxing is where we have our medals. But this Olympics, we couldn't travel for the qualification, and you know what it means. In certain clients, they don't look at you. If when you're not there, you're not there. That's what cost us that boxing slot.
Painful when I hear, sincerely very painful when I hear Sena climbs. Does that mean that we are not a sane climb? I remember, Mr. Lu, forgive me for taking us, back in time, so to speak. You've talked about, and he has also referenced, the need to see sports for what it is, big business. I remember USFON, the Youth Sports Federation of Nigeria, which formed the core of the gold-winning Golden Eaglets of Nigeria in 1985. How helpful do you see such a thing being in the process of government withdrawing its stranglehold on sports and really, diving in head on to make it work?
The only way to work is this: for those of us who are into sports, government should create the enabling environment. Once you create the enabling environment, if there is no rancor, then put the facilities in place. That is the role of government. Once they put the facilities in place, like Adetula rightly pointed out, we don't even have stadium in Nigeria, what you should call modern stadium. That is why even basketball, we can't even organize any NBA, any basketball competition in Nigeria. But look at Kigali, Rwanda of all places, where that is now the new destination for basketball. So we need to come back home, create the enabling environment by putting the facilities in place, and then creating the enabling environment. Then the private sector can pump money into our sports. Because once we create the enabling environment, the private sector will buy into it. Because government itself is not putting so much into sports. Come to look at it, it is only the sports ministry and the women development ministry that get the list of budget from government. Envelope. That is what the sports sector gets. And then, this is the only sector, interestingly, that is competing at the world level. Mention any other sector. We are talking about Nigeria competing and going for gold medal, silver, and bronze. Mention any other sector where Nigeria can go and compete at the world level. None, except for sports. So we need to invest heavily in sports because we've got the talent. All that our athletes need is just that enabling environment for them to take their talent to the highest level. This country is massively blessed, I must tell you.
Absolutely. For what it's worth, we're rooting for our athletes, clearly. So do you see us winning our 4th gold and maybe perhaps another medal?
Realistically, we're competing in 10 sports. But realistically, we have chances in athletics. We have chances in wrestling. Realistically, athletics, wrestling, and then of late, basketball. Because if you look at the stars that we've taken, a lot, NBA stars, and if you look at the pre-Olympic games that the Tigers played, if you can beat USA in a pre-Olympic tournament, if you can beat Argentina, and then you now know that if you beat world number 1 and world number 4, and that is the cynosure of all eyes. We are not going with football. So basketball is the in thing. Nigerians will keep awake, especially from Sunday, to watch the Tigers play. I see them going all the way. And it will be wonderful to see the Tigers. I see them winning a medal. I see Esebrume, Blessing Okagbari, based on current form, getting us medal. 4x400 meters women, we could get a medal. And then, I don't see how Adonayo Odukoroye will not win a medal and Blessing Oborodudu in wrestling. So realistically, these are the places. Then don't rule out the little girl in Taekwondo. She has done so well. She could become another Chonwa Ajunwa at the end of the day.
expect the best for them, clearly, and we wish them the very best. Mr. George Alu, thank you so much for your thoughts on this, as well as Mr. Femi Adetola. Yes, we're counting down to that opening ceremony. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful afternoon, even as we have a beautiful morning here in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless Nigeria.